so the masturbation thing. So masturbating in front of your partner is that I feel sorry for people who masturbate by humping, because I don't think, like, as far as like partner stuff, that's the sexiest way to masturbate. Like, when I ask a girl to masturbate for me, I am not thinking that she is going to hump a pillow. You know what I'm saying? Not to be I'm sorry that that's not what I'm thinking. That's why I say I want a woman to more or less touch herself with her fingers or something else or something.
You want to see everything.
I want to see everything.
You want to see what she's touching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that you can learn from this experience.
Yeah, right. That's what I want. And I can't learn much from the other. And it's not
purely an academic. You want to learn from this experience.
Exactly. I'm not going to get turned on by
sure.
the experience because you really can't see the vagina when a woman is humping. But I've always felt because I've been with 3 women who masturbated by humping, and the funny story regarding the book like that is I got a strong note back from a sub-editor that you need to make an explanation of the book like this, because this is not how most women masturbate. This is incredibly rare. And the fact that you have slept with 3 women who masturbate by humping, and I was like,
how do they know how rare it is or not? What study did they?
I know. But it's not rare, right?
I have no idea.
That's one of those.
I'm like,
areas.
Who has studied women's masturbation enough to know?
I don't know.
What's rare and what's not rare?
I don't know. Now that we don't read Kinsey really for the facts anymore, I have no
right.
idea.
I've never even fathomed humping a pillow though. I mean, what kind of pillow is this? Is this a really firm
You
pillow?
roll it up.
It's a pillow with a really good job and a call.
Nicely done.
SpongeBob or
Nicely
something?
done.
It's ribbed. SpongeBob.
It's a ribbed pillow, yeah.
Champagne bottle wrapped in a towel.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Something.
Side of the mattress, edge of the mattress, corner of the mattress. There are ladies that would love that couch.
Seen it happen, actually.
Yeah.
But we watch. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Lesson.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my thought on the masturbation thing. I always felt slightly guilty about not being that turned on by the other thing,
but some might be.
Some
might be.
Some might be.
That's not your thing.
It's
That's
true.
not somebody's
No.
thing.
But if a lady would need to hump my leg, obviously I would let a lady hump my leg or whatever.
That's a
would be
great
exciting.
quote right there.
Right.
That's a great quote. Obviously, I would let a lady hump my leg.
Obviously.
Do you have a preference for which leg?
I think this leg, my left leg, because then I'm right-handed and I can give her a little smack on the ass with my right hand, or do whatever else. Yeah.
Because the other leg would be perverted.
Yeah, this leg. Who would hump this leg? What kind of sicko would hump this leg? That's what I like about the sex positive thing. Is that even people who like sex have these weird divisions, you know, like, oh, they're vanilla, and oh, they're this, and oh, they're that. Like, I think it's so difficult for sex positiveness to get any kind of real traction. You know, and you're heroic to attempt it.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
It's difficult because you still get it's all good up to this point,
Right.
And then not so much.
Right.
Not so much.
There's this great writer, and oh man, I'm really upset that I can't remember. He wrote a book called Arousal, and he wrote a book called Male Sexuality. And I think he had this wonderful explanation for that, which I thought was dead on, which is that sex is such an insanely strong positive feedback mechanism. The way I like to have sex is so good for me that and that's in this zone, that anything outside of that zone natively seems crazy. You know? Like, how could you not be doing this? Do you know how good this is? And then nobody puts in the "for me"
right
in that sentence. They're just like, this is the best. And there's this little "for me" hanging out there that's mainly silent. And they don't anyway, you know. Because that's like I don't like when I read Sod. Sod's whole poop obsession kills me. Like Sod almost gives you something to jerk off to or hump a cushion to, until people start pooping and eating poop and all that stuff. And then I'm just like, wow. You know, it's like, oh, brother, that. But there are people who...
You say, oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Indeed. Oh, shit. And then there are people who I think are so aroused by their own feeling of strong revulsion about the poop that they're like, I think people who are interested in poop are like, kind of like, yeah, it's that feeling of revulsion. It's like almost a gambler. I read once that gamblers are addicted to losing. Right, it's excitement. It's excitement. All the brain chemicals like get all excited when you lose in gambling, not when you win. They're bored when they win. Look at someone, and if you go to Vegas ever, look at someone who's like, the quarters are spilling out of the machine, and they look bored out of their freaking minds. They're never, I mean, unless they just got there, they're never excited. They just look completely bored. But when you lose, like if you bet your house mortgage or something, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I really screwed up. That's when their chemicals fire off. So I think the shit thing is that thing. But anyway, but what I'm saying is I don't get off on that. I'm in a zone of my own. But I think through thought and empathy or whatever it is, you just realize, oh, that's your thing. You know,
right. That's
in a genuine
your
way.
zone.
That's not in my zone.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay for it to be in somebody else's.
Exactly. I don't feel like to affirm my zone, I have to disaffirm or disavow all the other zones. And I think that's the wonderful thing about the sex positive.
I wanted to ask you though, because a thing that I've been working with, and I'm going to be teaching in the fall.
Oh, cool! Congrats.
Actual
Great.
professor in the fall. I'm so happy.
Nice.
And so I've been doing research to get me ready for this class. And I recently saw a film. It's called The Bro Code, and it's about how we teach men to become sexist.
Interesting.
How society, how parents, women,
Right.
media
Right.
teach men to become sexist, and sort of that hegemonic masculinity, the ultra masculinity.
Right.
That kind of
Yeah,
stuff, you know?
Totally. Right.
So I wanted to find out from you. I mean, you're an educator and a researcher on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You've dealt with a lot of high school students, a lot of high school boys.
Right.
What do you feel about this?
About how we teach
About
boys to become
Right.
ultra masculine and all that
And-
stuff. Oh boy, that is an interesting question. I don't know if I have a snappy off the top response to that. I mean, I think culture really does worship hyper aggressive, hyper masculine men. Like if you just, there's this, I read a fascinating article the other day somewhere about presidents and how we rank presidents.
Mm-hmm.
And when we rank our presidents as who the greatest presidents are, we generally rank presidents who started a war. Abraham Lincoln, always number one. Started the worst war this country has ever seen. And I'm not, please no letters at the justice of that war, but he did start, he was aggressive, and he started the worst war that the country's ever seen. So he is, like Roosevelt, who was very, very aggressive during the Depression and stuff like that. And history is not being kind to FDR. Like, the more they study economics, the more they realize that he just extended the Depression. But you have to do something heroic. I think, Obama is going to be very muchly criticized because he's a very boring president. But, there's this very strong historical view that the boring presidents are actually probably the good presidents. They were probably the people that didn't come in with a huge hard-on to like, I'm going to change things. I'm going to start a war because I want to be a war president. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, Clinton. Clinton might not be remembered as a very great president. Clinton had opportunities to go to war. Did Clinton take the whole nation to war? No.
No, he got a blowjob.
He got a blowjob, and that killed Al Gore too. And so, right. That's that. But Clinton was an even-handed statesman. He kept the ship of state rolling. That was the terrible mixed analogy. The ship of state moving. But anyway, like like, you know, I think the same is true. And so if sober historians who aren't thinking about sex at all vastly prefer these masculine, hyperactive presidents who Wilson, who screwed everything up in World War I and all that nonsense. You know, he's not ranked as that terrible a president, but he was a horrible president. Like, there's no reason to go to World War I. There was no reason to go after the flu epidemic started. If we hadn't gone to war, the Spanish flu never would have happened. You know, blah blah blah, all that kind of nonsense. And I think men are taught the same from popular culture in many ways, that the way you get rewarded as a man in this culture is to be aggressive and to be, you know, the hyper-masculine
Take no
guy.
prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah, the Wall Street guys, like the
Right.
worst of Wall Street guys. And regardless of, you know, a lot of these, you know, the sexist stuff is really kind of turning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the deeper analyses of the wage gap are being, in the younger generations, the reason the wage gap still exists is basically because of older people. Mm-hmm. But if you take out what women, when women drop out of the workforce to have killed children and stuff like that, if you adjust for all of those obviously normal, natural things and stuff like that, in women, I think the statistic is in women who are single at 30 and men who are single at 30, this was like 2 years ago, women are earning more than men, you know, because they're getting better, they're getting more educated and stuff like this, and men are not being
They're definitely,
literate.
it's been my experience that there are definitely more women in the university system.
Yeah, there's more women in the university system, and that's going to turn. I mean, it's definitely turned, and
Obviously not in all subjects, but
Right.
in
Right.
general, there are
Right.
more female students than male students.
right. We don't need to work on that issue much more
Right.
at all. If you want something to work on, male literacy is
Yeah.
really poor. And
Yeah.
I don't know that feminists just go high-fiving that male literacy is so shitty, but it's not going to help you.
It's not
Unless
gonna
you are a lesbian and you never need to rely on a man in your entire life. If you're going to be thrilled having a kid with a man and having also the better job and stuff like that, we kind of need to work on male education at this point
Yeah.
to a certain extent. And so, but anyway, I mean, I think despite all of those things, and despite the fact that women have made great gains, and it's obvious in the workplace that women are as well respected as men and stuff like that. I think there is still a general cultural appeal towards hyper masculinity and stuff. You know, I don't know what to do about that. Like the Wall Street guys,
Mm-hmm.
what a bunch of, you know. And oh my God, the biggest whoremongers in the world. Not that there's anything wrong with prostitutes in general,
No.
but
No.
if that's
Not
the
against
only
the
way
sexual.
you can relate to a woman, if that's you know, as a transactional thing, if that's all you've got, you know, they were not being nice to prostitutes. They were just you know spending
Yeah.
all our money on them. So
Right. That's